Good evening. Today's date is January 4th, 2025. Time is about 7:20 p.m. Now, this is my follow-up from today's events. Like I mentioned this morning, I had a chance to go back out into D.C. again to the 14th now March over at the Lincoln Memorial. Okay. Now, let me go over the good, the bad, and the ugly of my trip today. Okay, the good thing is I got started off early this time. I got started off early, thinking I'd be there in plenty of time and listen to everybody speak and what have you. Well, as it turns out, I got there around 10 o'clock. What I decided to do, because they were setting up the speakers, and if anybody watched my live today, you'll see me. I'm actually sitting on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, and I'm doing a live. I figured I'd do a live, answer some questions, give some thoughts, things like that. Now, it winded up being a 2-hour live, and I was doing okay. I was doing fine. I mean, I was really coming down on Mr. T. And then I started dipping into the world, from what I can only surmise, of the pandemic. And of course, various countries involved with the pandemic and why it hadn't been solved yet, and we hadn't heard anything about it, and there was no type of disclosure, no type of documentary on how we got from point A to point B. But meanwhile, millions of people died, but we still don't have a full explanation as to what happened. And when I started to dip into that and started to name names and throw out conjecture and what have you, then my live was shut off. It was shut down. I was suspended. And I will be suspended from doing any lives until June 11th. That includes any guests on any of the lives. I won't be able to log in as a guest. I can just go in the comment section, throw comments at people and things like that, which is okay by me anyway, because I'm not a big live person anyway. I mean, I come on every once in a while just to sort of test the waters, and I do go on to other people's lives just to see how they do things and what they talk about. And once in a while, I'll pull myself up as a guest, or they'll pull me up as a guest, and and I'll give my 2 cents and I'll back off. That isn't really my forte. That's not the way I really like to operate. So by the fact of them, suspending me from that, no big deal. Although I did have a lot of information in that 2-hour live today that I would like to have given to you guys. A lot of stuff that's on my brain housing group, and of course things that make sense to at least 80% of the people in the rest of the world. Of course, there's 20%, as we know, that will never see it any other way than what they see it. Okay. So the good part, again, that I got down there and that I was able to, situate myself or what have you. The bad news, of course, is that it was very cold. It's very cold out there, and I managed to get into the sun and block the wind a little bit initially, but then the sun started going behind the clouds, and it started getting really cold. Well, anyway, the event didn't take off. It didn't really start until later in the afternoon, so I spent a good amount of the morning, which was fine, down there running around, taking notes, doing videos and different things like that. So that was fine. But anyway, the ugly, as I said, was the fact that I was suspended until the 11th. No big deal. Okay. So now we get into the gist of the march, which is really, it wasn't a march. I guess it started out to be a march, but with the events that were happening over in New Orleans and around the country and possible suspicious vehicles near the Capitol, they figured, well, it's not a good idea to have these talks near the Capitol or these protests near the Capitol. So they pushed them out to Franklin Park, which was yesterday, Franklin Square, Franklin Park, whatever you want to call it. And then they pushed it out to the Lincoln Memorial today, and of course tomorrow as well. Now tomorrow, unfortunately, I won't be able to make it. I do have a heavy schedule with my regular business. Christmas is over, holidays is over, a lot of people coming back to work, so I got to get to work as well. But I did enjoy the few days that I was out there. Now the highlight of my evening, I've got to say, and I waited all day. I froze my butt off. I waited all day because I wanted to hear Jessica speak. She was the one who was really pushing this event. And of course, I enjoy listening to her podcasts. There are some people who are in this or doing what I do for money. And hey, look, there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, look, it's side hustle. It's something that people want to do long term, and that's great. And there's some people who do it because they want notoriety. And then there's other people who do it because just the message needs to get out. No other reason. Jessica's that type of person. She speaks with conviction. She's very powerful. That attracts me to her because that's the type of person that I aspire to be one day, or that I try to emulate. The people who speak powerful, speak intelligent, have insight, and have a purpose. So, and she speaks with a purpose, and you can hear it in her voice. You can see it in the way that she talks. You can see it in her gestures and different things like that. She's not out there for the notoriety. She's out there because she believes in what she says, and she wants to get the message out. That's what attracts me to her. Okay. Now, so she spoke today, and if you'll go on to her website again, her TikTok page. Sorry about that. One more time. Her YouTube page. You will see that she has the newest. I'm actually at that protest. I'm back in the back. I don't know if you can see me. I'm way in the back. I'm waiting for the opportunity to actually meet with her. A funny thing, while I was doing my spiel on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, after I was done and I got kicked off and I was packing my stuff up, a gentleman approached me. His name is Nathan, and he asked me what he asked me about, he probably knew I was a creator or doing something in that realm, and we got to talking, what have you. And I mentioned to him that I wanted to, eventually sometime during the day meet Jessica in person. And lo and behold, he was in with the staff over there, I guess in one way, shape, or form, and he actually introduced me to her, and I got a picture with her. Good. So that was the highlight of my day. Okay. So that I definitely appreciate. It made all the coldness out there that I experienced worthwhile, because I really do appreciate her message. Now, I did have a couple of questions in regards to January. I guess the message was referring to yesterday's, seating the new Congress, and what do I think is going to happen on Monday. Now, before I go into that, some of the things that Jessica had mentioned during her speech, and some of the other people that spoke as well. Remember when I told you yesterday that one of the guys from the event suggested that we go to our congressmen, congressmen, and then we go directly to them, and we speak directly to them? Well, that man who I spoke to, he actually talked directly with Adam Schiff. Okay, so it's not like they're not aware of it. The congressmen are aware of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, and Jessica as well had went through the halls of Congress and the Senate, and she spoke directly to the people. And what she had mentioned today was that these people knew of her. They knew of her. They knew of her message. They knew of her podcast, and they knew of people who were talking about this. So it's not that Congress doesn't know about it. They know about it. But as Sean Connery said in The Untouchables, and I hate to use phrases from movies, what are you prepared to do? Okay, you know about it. What are you going to do? So right now I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. You know about it. Great. What are you prepared to do? What do you plan on doing? Okay? So that's where we are right now. So that's pretty much my answer. It's sort of up in the air. We'll see what happens on January 6th. There were very powerful messages, and you'll see through the recording on Jessica's YouTube page that these are powerful messages. Now, as far as the crowd was concerned, wasn't a whole lot of people out there. Doesn't need to be. The fact that the people who were able to come out, they came out, they supported, they held banners, they held signs. Other people came out, and believe me, these temperatures were freezing. Even a polar bear would have stayed away. It was cold. You're talking about 20, 30 degrees, wind chills around 13 degrees. People were out there 4, 5, 6 hours. I mean, I left about 4 o'clock, got there about 10, left about 4. I was an icicle, and everybody else was still, there were still some people doing that. So that was pretty much my day in a nutshell. Now, what do I expect as far as the efforts from this? I expect some people in Congress to sort of raise an eyebrow and say, hey, Now, the difficulty is going to be on the Republican side. Now, as I said earlier, and let me reiterate, 20% of both sides, of Congress in general, both 20% in order to bring up the amnesty bill, and then once it's on the floor, and they go to remove it, they'll realize they can't remove it because they don't have 2/3, which will tell them, hey, we can't remove this disqualification. So who here, raise your hands, who here wants to affirm this? And then you have to have over 50% of the people to sustain it, to affirm it, to agree with it. And that's when this man should be disqualified, along with J.D. Vance. Okay, so that's where. So let's look towards. But before that happens, we still have a few days to keep on working on these congressmen. So they also recommend it. Get on the phone. If you can't be here, get on the phone. If you are here, go to the congressman's office. I already tried going there. I wasn't able to get in, but I was able to contact their offices. So, just keep on banging away in those regards. And even after the certification, if it goes past that, I hope it doesn't. That's the reason for the 14th now march, so it doesn't go past that. But keep in mind, too, that if for some reason it does, remember yesterday I said we have some irons in the fire still. Look at Executive Order 13848, indicating election interference, which is already called by Iran and Russia. Okay, it was already called. Now the question is, you follow the breadcrumbs. Who was it? Who conspired with them on this side of the equation to help them do what they needed to do? Who was it? Because you got accomplices. And once you get one, you get the next, you get the next. They roll over and roll over and roll over. So there's a couple of things that need to be done. Let's hope that whatever safeguards are in place will be beneficial enough to keep this man from gaining the reins of power. Well, good enough. Again, log into Jessica's YouTube page. Check out the events of today as far as the speeches for today. Very powerful. Continue to follow her. She's a very good source. And also repost this. And when I come up with something else, which will be not too long from now, maybe even later on tonight, maybe tomorrow morning, I don't know. Whenever these thoughts come to me, I'll definitely come back on and share that with you. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will catch you later. Thanks.